All right, guys, welcome to the Clover Trading YouTube channel, where you have me, Mike Huie, and my cohort, Dom Mastromatteo. On these types of videos, we like to go through what is happening over in small cap, what is happening across the market indices, what is capturing our attention and the interest in most day traders as of this week. The cool thing about trading is week to week, you're going to have different themes, different nuances, different things working, and where one week might be slow, the next week might be fast. So we're going to talk about the trades that we found interesting this week, the tickers that we found interesting this week, the themes that we found interesting this week, and then any other interest that we have going into next week. We'll talk about those tickers as well. Generally, it's the stocks that are breaking out and doing well one week that we're watching for the next week in terms of short selling patterns. And then sometimes themes are kind of gathering themselves, breaking out and continuing higher, and we want to keep eyes on those. So that's generally the structure we're going to go through. In this video, we're going to keep it nice and succinct. It's 4th of July. We hope you all have a great time celebrating with friends, with family, God bless, et cetera, et cetera. And without further ado, Dom, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, hello, welcome in everyone. Make sure you go ahead, hit that thumbs up button for us, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on how you did this week with the stocks we're talking about right now. There wasn't a ton on watch, but if you really were hyper focused on a couple big runners, there were some great moves in small cap land. I think a good place to start actually would be to take a look at the SPY and just take a quick moment to look at where we're at in the overall market as we kind of head into the heat of the summer here. Overall market is at all-time highs, and it's pretty crazy to think a lot of this year has spent either going sideways, big dipping down into the March and April, where we even had a conflict in the Middle East over the past few weeks, but the market has bounced back significantly. We were at all-time highs, and over the past week or so, it has been just grinding higher and higher. And here on this half day, heading into to wrapping up the first week in July, we're at all-time highs, and that is pretty cool in my opinion. I haven't quite seen that been reflected a lot. I feel like in a lot of the mid to large caps I've been looking at, I feel like the overseas conflicts in the Middle East, it kind of took a hit to a lot of charts I was watching. But as we head into the heat of the summer, that is really interesting to watch. But yeah, if we're kind of looking at the plays that I think kind of rounded out this week and where I think if you were paying attention to, you probably had some level of success. The first one being VOR earlier this week. After having a really significant move last week, they ended up doing, we talked about this one with Gratani on Wine Wednesday. It was on this day back here, this Wednesday. And it ended up having a really significant gap up after moving from the 30-cent area to the $1.20 to $1.50 area in after hours, and set up again for one of Huddy's kind of his favorite breakout look, I think, which is that little 3-day little pause breakout where we don't have a ton of consolidation. We actually saw another one of these breakouts happen later this week, which we'll talk about in a second. So really, I think it's important to study your patterns and be aware of this stuff, because what we ended up seeing was a really quality multi-day breakout over this 127 area. Ended up running up towards 2. Not even quite dead just yet, but this one on a stock that I think maybe shorts got a little bit too convicted was going down because of the dilution. And this is what I kind of say when it comes to just prioritizing the best charts out there. You don't need to be scanning like a madman to find a chart like this on your watch. You just have to be paying attention and prioritizing the most recent runners. Former runners are the ones that become the next runners. And again, we'll talk about that here in a second from today's action. But VOR was really quality setup on this front side move so far. We'll see where it goes into next week as we kind of also start to make our watch list for next week. This is one that will be on there for me, as this is a stock that I think most people expect to break down, but instead it's holding up and going sideways. What else have you seen running this week, Huddy?
So much teasing and hyping up your future stock that you're going to talk about.
You might talk about it.
Um,
Who knows?
I might. I'm not going to, but I do love that 3-day sequence breakout. It has been working really well, continues to work very well, and as Dom will talk about in the future. Um, so what did I notice this week? I noticed that we had some strength on the macro sphere. Let's kind of shift gears from small cap and just understand what's moving markets right now. I think crypto's worth talking about, right? That's going to kind of tie us into what Dom will eventually talk about. But crypto's hot. The chart I kind of go to is IBIT, IBIT, which is a proxy to see, how Bitcoin is trading. This is just an ETF of Bitcoin. And it seems like, just from this chart look right here, it seems like we're coming out of a range. We're consolidating near the highs. And we're very close to attempting all-time highs. So is breakout gonna is Bitcoin gonna break out? Is it gonna kind of double top and consolidate for longer? I'm not too certain, but stocks are starting to move. Market's starting to move. We are in a bull market. The overall markets are at all-time highs, and crypto's kind of creeping up there as well. So we'll see if in the near future we will get a breakout on the crypto sector as a whole. Of course, that's what I hope for. I don't really have any exposure to any specific cryptos, but I always hope for markets to go higher and to lead to more volatility that we can see across the markets. It has led to some interesting stocks this week. I mean, keeping it more towards the small cap theme that I think Dom and I have kind of staked our reputation on throughout our career. BTQQF. I don't know if you guys were able to see this stock this week, but this had some very actionable patterns in the past 3 days. Not First and foremost was just the first red day on June 30th. So that was Monday, where you have a stock that went on a 4-day run. Uh, the volume was increasing each and every day. The range expanded. And then we had on day 5, kind of that pullback day where we went red, dropped 20%. There's ability to make money there. There's ability to have tight risk. So pretty good setup there, even though the candle's not too large. Ended up holding perfectly at the previous breakout level area, consolidated at that $5 whole $0.50 area, and went on to breakout again. Again, you have that hot theme in crypto, and now you're seeing it kind of bleed over to quantum stocks. And I don't know much about quantum and crypto, but I do know that they're kind of like sisters and brothers. They're tied to some extent, quantum and crypto. So BTQQF, nice little OTC stock, blast from the past that is going higher, and we'll continue to be on a watch list and hoping it, can do something crazy.
Yeah, that was a big miss on all fronts for me. I don't know what it is about OTC stocks, but I feel like I've written them off so hard over the past few years that even when we do have some, like I had this on watch going into this week after its big run, which we do not see a lot of recently, of $2 up into the almost 6 without going red for multiple days. I just could not for the life of me keep this on watch, because then, as you just kind of alluded to, it's set up again beautifully sideways, something that we really made our first couple 100,000 on, which for me was buying breakouts. For you was this first red day. But what happens after the first red day? Just beautiful sideways price action, curling up into a breakout level. Really solid move, and congrats to longs there. So, we've talked a little bit about the larger cap stuff, some small caps, and OTC sneaking its way onto the list as well. And I think we can kind of continue with that theme of crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, treasury plays, whatever it is, we've seen a ton of them. If you're around on Good Morning NASDAQ with us every single morning, if you've noticed a theme over the past few months, I hope it's been that you've noticed that if any stock PRs about putting a bunch of new money into a treasury or crypto treasury play, not crypto treasury play, I'm baffling my words, that's just what I call it, but putting money into crypto, it has worked out well. You think about the earlier days with CEP back in April. We had ASST was a big one that happened in May. KIDZ was one of the earlier ones that happened at the beginning of May. And you can see all types of different daily charts. You usually get a big green day, some continuation. Maybe it runs again into a breakout. JNVR is not a stock, but I know that one worked out as well. And as of late, the PRs have continued. And the most recent one is this BMNR from, what day was this? Was that Monday? So this is all week this one's been running. Really has yet to have a real first red day. And it's that same 3-day sequence we talked about. And one of my favorite reasonings for breakouts, because it doesn't take a whole lot of thinking here. Once you have the catalyst, once you have the volume, once you have shorts being interested, it's just stock not go down, maybe stock go up. And that's what we saw here yesterday. I know during the Wednesday live stream, Huie was shorting this in the morning. It ended up going green, holding up all day, grinding higher. This morning continues that grind into that big key level 75. And look at that. It ends up being $50 a share higher than the breakout level on this half day right before 4th of July. Just a really nice sequence. I didn't maximize my potential on it, but I was able to buy in the 60s, sell over 100. It's always a good day when you're making $40 or $50 a share, but it's just another way to play these hot runners when we've had so many of them gapping up on day one, turning into day two. Not all of them have gone on to have continuation like this, but it's not the first. Hopefully, it's not the last. You saw it recently. Actually, I think about with SBET, which I don't know exactly which crypto that was related to, but very, very similar chart, very, very similar price ranges, and a move into the hundreds from the 30, 40, 50 area. So it's just awesome to see. And again, when we talk about a lot of these stocks, they will be on watch going into next week with VOR, with BMNR, and that theme. That theme, we just talked about stocks from months ago where this was still happening. It's awesome to see the continuation. The range. I for one am going to have at least a reversal coming on this because it still hasn't had a red day. I'm sure Huie probably either wants higher or it to hold up today going into next week to watch for a potential really solid first red day. We have pulled off the highs right now. We'll see where this goes. We have an hour and a half till the close here, so getting this out right at the end of the day, going into the weekend. But BMNR, this is what we talk about when it's the hardest part of trading isn't necessarily the patterns. It's about just knowing where to look, where to keep your eyes and being patient for setups that make sense to you. And BMNR was one of my top watches going into today and one of the only trades I took. So I don't know if you have anything to say about BMNR, the catalyst, the theme, but it feels like we're living in the matrix. It just keeps happening over and over again.
Nothing to really add on, but I think my overall statement of fact for the week is we're talking about a 4-day week here, and how many setups did we just list? How many tickers? And it really does come down to know thy pattern, have the right stock selection, know the catalyst, know the themes in the market. You can't just come into the market and not be here for 3 months and then know that crypto treasury plays have been hot. You do have to have some type of pulse on the market. But it's just insane, how much opportunity there is in just a 4-day span. I mean, BMNR is a stock that went from $10 to 130, right? And that's just one of many opportunities that we just discussed on this video.
During a
So it always
4-day
helps to
week.
have a chat, huh?
During a 4-day week, it did that.
Yeah. So these stocks were all on our watch lists for this week in the chat, and they will continue to be kind of on our watch list as they continue to set up and form new patterns. If they form new patterns, we'll be on top of it. That's kind of the job of the day trader, is to, again, just know what your pattern is and be ready to strike when it's there. And I think, every week has an insane opportunity. Every year has insane opportunity. And, those who are most prepared are going to capitalize the best.
Yeah, and as we head into the thick of the summer, we're over halfway done with the year. We're in July now. The weather seems to be nice every day. I got this question in the webinar the other day for me, and I'd love to hear you kind of wrap this up with this question, Huie, just about summer trading as a whole. How much attention do you put into that? Is it more about just waiting for great setups and treating it like a great setup, or do you do something actively right now based on the history that you've had over the last 10 years of trading summers?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've traded horrible summers, right? And I've also traded great summers. Those do exist. And I think it's wrong to go out there and just say summer's going to be bad, because I think you can miss some spectacular opportunity. I actually, for one, just increased the size in my accounts because I think the opportunities have been really good. I think I've been trading really good. And I don't think just because it's summer, it's time to pull back. I think you really just have to live day by day and take the opportunities as they come. And it serves no good to say, oh, in the past 10 years, these next 3 months have been slow, 6 out of the 10 years. So I'm going to take it slow. That's, I think, not going to be a good self-servicing prediction, because you really just don't know, and you got to take it day by day. I think that's the most important thing to do. So I, for one, will continue the throttle forward. I know that many traders had spectacular Junes. There was no slowness in June, which is technically summer. And we'll see as July and August hit and the weather gets warmer and the vacations become more tempting and maybe some volume leaves the markets. That's kind of the superstition. But again, we're traders. We react. We don't predict.
We're traders. All right, that's awesome. All right, so as you guys are checking out this video, make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment as well, how you did on these stocks. Did you trade BMNR? Did you trade VOR? Are you in crypto and watching that stuff? And maybe leave us a comment on what you guys want to see in future videos. As you know, we post all the time. We post our long form content on Mondays. We're live every day. The market is open. What do you want to see from us? What are some topics of conversation or specific setups you want to see more about? We'd be happy to take that into consideration. But as always, we will see you guys in the next video, and we'll see you live Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. for Good Morning NASDAQ. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your guys' day.